right, welcome back to another episode of the Heart Podcast. And joining me today is someone I consider a very good friend of mine. He is the new voice of the new franchise in the Pacific Junior Hockey League, the Coastal Tsunami, Mr. Giancarlo Nadeau. Giancarlo, how's it going? Thanks so much for joining me.
Hey man, thanks so much for having me. Super excited to get on board here and love that introduction. It's pretty good. So
Yeah, well, every person needs their own special introduction, and the role that you are taking on as well, it is a very special role. We'll get into that a bit later on. But first off, just tell me, how's the off season going for you? How's the family doing? And how have these past couple months after the last hockey season been?
yeah, family's doing good. Thanks for asking about them. To be honest, I'm mostly on the coast now, so they're pretty happy about that. They get a nice little vacation every week without me. So I don't know how I feel about that one, but that's how they feel about it. And then the tsunami is every day something new. And that's what I love about my job. You're doing something new every day. We're signing players, we're getting stuff ready for the season. And we just put out a post a couple days ago that we play hockey this month. So that's pretty exciting to finally realize, holy crap, we're going to make it. We're here. And then also our logo just got put in as well. So that's really cool to see. It's another one of those points where you kind of realize what you're building and that it's all sort of coming together really, really quick right now.
And, this has been a process that has been going on for quite some time. And for yourself as a broadcaster as well, this has been, something that you've been looking forward to a long time. But let's go back to the early days. Let's go back to when you first realized that this is what you wanted to do. Just walk me through that moment where, it really clicked to you that you wanted to be a hockey broadcaster.
Yeah. So for me, there's a couple individuals who have put me in the position that I am today. And I always make sure I bring them up because they're very important people to me. Dan O'Connor, the former voice for the Vancouver Giants. So Dan grew up just like I did with his dad having season tickets. He was also a billet family, which is pretty cool. So we got to billet some of those players. But his whole life, all he ever wanted to do was broadcast the Giants. He knew he wasn't going to be able to play for them. So he thought, the next best way for me to get in with this team is to broadcast them. And he worked his whole life to do that. That's what I'm doing right now, too. It's no secret that I want to get there one day and working really hard to do that. Dan's the guy that will review my footage. He's the guy that I've had on my own podcast when I was doing one. He's my role model. He's my mentor. He's my guy. And then a family, the Marburg family, Sam Marburg, Jerome Marburg, Cynthia Marburg. Sam played with the Wolfpack for the past couple seasons, so he was there the year they won that 40-game season. That year they were the best team in the league, and he's the one that brought me into the Wolfpack. So my dad, I was able to teach him, and he said, "Hey, there's an opening here. Does you still want to be our camera guy?" And ever since then, I've been moving up the ropes, and it started with them. So those are some key individuals who I really want to make sure I thank because I'm truly not where I am without those guys.
And we head back to the early days of your hockey fandom as well. I know you mentioned the Giants and how important they were to you growing up. You were a fan of the Giants, but it was ultimately your goal one day that you wanted to be the broadcaster of the Giants, and that's still a goal that pertains to you today. I know, you have been with the Giants so early on, like even in their days at the Pacific Coliseum. So what was it like just being around them every day at that point as compared to, what the team has become now?
Truly, don't take this the wrong way. I think it was cooler when I was younger to be around them just because they were much older than me. And those are the Giants. And now, because of where I'm at and kind of being in the organization a little bit, it's still like, holy crap, those are the Giants. But because I'm seeing them more often, I'm not just looking at them as the Giants. It's kind of changing my perspective about it. But either way, I'm so happy to be involved with that team. I love that team. And can't wait for the day where I'm one day able to broadcast them. Keeping my fingers crossed for that one. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, Giancarlo, but you were also featured in a news story where, they highlighted the fact that you had this connection to the Giants and that you one day wanted to be the broadcaster for the team as well.
yeah, that was a pretty crazy day. I'm not going to lie about it. So one of the things that I was able to do last year, I had a little bit more time, was put together my own website covering the Vancouver Giants. I wrote some articles, did a couple podcast episodes, which was awesome. And then as I was filming some content to put on the website and taking some photos at the Pacific Coliseum, I actually ran into one of the guys that hosts a segment on CTV News, and he was sort of asking what I was doing there, why I was wearing a Giants jersey, and then the next thing I knew, I was on the news. So that was a pretty cool feeling. Pretty cool, especially for family members to kind of see me out there, and a great way to do some promotion, and it didn't cost me anything either, which was awesome. So
So, Giancarlo, you've obviously, you were with the North Van Wolfpack for quite some time before the Coastal Tsunami. What was it like spending that time in the North Van Wolfpack organization, and how long were you with the organization for?
yeah, I was in North Vancouver for the last 5 seasons, and truly grateful for every day I was able to spend with them. An incredible opportunity for me to grow and develop and meet new people. And yeah, I mean, I'm so thankful again. I really can't thank them enough. I'm super close with their ownership group, super close with their staff, and I can't wait to be back in their rink on September 7th when the Tsunami are in town. It's going to be really cool.
And every sort of journey has its bumps in the road, but every journey has its highlights in the road as well. So from your time with the Wolfpack, what would you say were your proudest moments, and just reflecting on all the times, all the great times that you had?
There was a lot of proud moments. I mean, truly every day was special for me, and that's how I know I'm doing something that I love. Being close with the friends, being close with the players. The cool thing for me was for the longest time, I was the same age as those guys. So we'd be able to hang out in the locker room, hang out after games, after practices. And quick shout out to some of my boys, Corson Penman and JJ Piquel. We went to school together. We grew up together. So it was super sweet having those kids on the team. And then, of course, we knew a couple other players on other teams in the league. So that's what made it really special. And then being able to broadcast everybody was great. Like, I'm sure you get this too as a broadcaster. We have family members or had family members from Australia or America, and they come up for a game and they're like, hey, we're listening to you from the States, or we're listening to you from Europe. It's a really cool feeling, especially when you kind of look back and you're like, man, I'm really not just broadcasting North Vancouver. I'm kind of broadcasting to everybody else. And so that's pretty special because you are what connects people from, their kids ultimately, because some of them, they don't get to see their kids very often and they look forward to tuning in and listening to you. So that's a really special moment. And that kind of makes you feel really good about what you do. Being able to share those stories, I think, is super special.
And your time in North Vancouver, as you made mention, was a memorable one, but then enters the tsunami, then enters the Coastal Tsunami, this new franchise that was just established. When did you find out that you were going to be the first ever voice of the Coastal Tsunami?
That was a great question. So North Vancouver and Chilliwack actually played the first ever showcase series there, and so I was lucky enough to be able to broadcast both of those games, and that's what kind of got my foot in the door, if you will, allowed me to meet those people, allowed me to be inside that community. And there were some tests we had to run back and forth, so I went over there to do a site visit to make sure we had everything that they needed and that we needed to run the games. So Trevor Alto was a big reason why I was able to do that. PJHL commissioner has been great. And then ever since then, and ever since I was sort of allowed to connect with them that way, they've always sort of been in talks with me, but they had to go through an entire process, put it out there for anybody to apply, which is what they should do. And that's exactly what they did. And they went through their list of applicants, and my name stuck out, which I was very happy about, very lucky about as well. And yeah, I mean, we did the interview process, we did all that stuff, everything panned out. So it was super cool. And really, really thankful that they decided to choose me for sure.
It has been quite a journey. There's so many steps that you got to take to get to where that franchise is now. And along the way, you meet some very memorable people. What are some people in the Tsunami organization that you'd like to shout out that have made the Coastal Tsunami possible?
Oh, I mean, right from the top, Rick Hopper, the director of operations, the guy that's running this entire project, the guy that's going to make people in the PJHL turn their heads and look at what we're doing. It's super exciting. A lot of it's just words right now, and I get that. But once the season starts and people truly see what we're doing and what we're building, it's going to be something special. So Rick, right from the top all the way down, and of course, you got to mention Julie Reeves, our owner. She's been fantastic. Born and raised on the Sunshine Coast. All she wants to do is give back to that community, and you love being a part of something like that, especially in a place where a community like that deserves it. They're a hockey city, they love hockey. They're going to do whatever they can to be at a Tsunami game. We have more season tickets than anybody else in the league. Like, it's such an exciting time right now to be on the Sunshine Coast. And truly, I can't go anywhere now with people not realizing who I am. So I've never experienced that before. It's a little bit different, but it's kind of cool too. And yeah, it's awesome. And then of course the coach always deserves some love, Brad Wingfield. What an incredible guy he is. It's been great being able to work with him, work with his staff and his players. So those three individuals for sure, right off the top. But it's been awesome, man. I really appreciate all the conversations I have with everybody.
A month from tomorrow, it's a very important day, September 6th. It's a day that the Tsunami organization has waited for ever since this idea first came to life. It's their first ever game at Abbotsford's MSA Arena against the Pilots. Just tell me when you hear that, what comes to mind?
Yeah, a little bit of chills to be honest with you. It's pretty cool. Like I was talking earlier about how putting in our ice logo is a big realization moment for us. But looking on the schedule and realizing the days are getting closer and closer and closer, pretty exciting. We've put in a lot of work to get to where we are. We're still not where we want to be, and we've got a little bit more time to finally get us ready for that first game, which is going to be really, really cool.
There's actually, if I'm not mistaken, a bus that is going from the Sunshine Coast to Abbotsford, which is taking fans from the Sunshine Coast to Abbotsford. So just tell me a bit about that initiative and how that idea sort of came to life, because I don't think I've ever seen an idea as such in the PJHL before.
No, I mean, to be honest, that's kind of what I was going back to when I said we're doing stuff the PJHL's never seen before. We view our team as the Vegas Golden Knights in a way, in that nobody thought Vegas deserved a team. Nobody thought they could have a team. And then you look at them, they're succeeding. They win championships. They're doing things that nobody thinks belongs in hockey. For us, it's all about community. It's all about our fans. It's all about making them happy. And if we can connect them to the first ever game in Abbotsford, that's something that we want to do, and that's something that we're going to be able to do. We got the idea from the BC Lions. The BC Lions have been great with that, with their new ownership of Mark Dolman. He's an awesome individual. I've had the chance to talk with him a few times. And Amar was truly one of those guys that brought that idea to us. Because when you look at how the Lions are doing, their attendance numbers are through the roof, and that's because they're connecting people from the entire province. And for us, we're nothing without our fans. So if we can have our fans at our opening night, that's going to be pretty special, and that's something that we're going to make happen.
Well, I personally gotta say, man, just the way that the Coastal Tsunami has presented themselves both on the website and on the social media side of things, it's like nothing I've seen in the PJHL before. So big props to you and everyone in the Tsunami organization for making this, one of, if not, one of the greatest team reveals I've ever seen in junior hockey. Like the work is evident, the work is right there, and it shows through all the hard work that how much everyone in that organization truly cares about bringing hockey to the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Our slogan this year is to make a splash. We don't just want to go in there and be another team. We want to truly make a splash, and that's what we're doing this season. So it's really exciting.
And we talked about the operation side of things, but let's talk about a bit of the hockey side of things because you guys have made some pretty big signings earlier on in the offseason. And just a few days ago, you guys brought in Oliver Nottingham from the Grandview Steelers in a sign and trade. So as you continue to see this team come together, what are sort of the expectations that are becoming of, the Coastal Tsunami on a hockey side of things?
Yeah. So for us, our coach, obviously being Brad Wingfield, was a big, tough guy. Loved running people around and running into people, if you will. And it's kind of what we want to do. We want to play a physical game. We want to play a fast game. And it's truly exciting to see who we're signing. We're kind of signing guys from all over the place right now, which is pretty exciting. It's not just from one spot. But what I will say, though, is that we do have a number of players from the Sunshine Coast, because just like our fans, we want to connect the players who are born here and have them get the opportunity to play with their local junior team, because this was just an idea, last season, and now it's a reality. And now we have a chance to make an impact in the community, and that includes signing local players. So for us, that's something we want to do. But when you also have a look at who we're signing, some of our guys are 6'5". Like, it's nuts. You've never seen that before. Those are basketball players, like I'm excited. And I joke with my coach all the time. I'm like, Coach, if I need a bodyguard this season, like, those are my boys, right? He's like, oh yeah, those are your boys. So it's pretty cool. I love it. Those guys are going to be so excited to play for us and to see all the stuff that we do. It's going to be super cool.
What are you most excited about from the broadcast perspective of things? Because it's a new team, and I know how creative you really are and how creative you get when it comes to your broadcast. So what comes to mind in terms of new things to try or exciting things we can expect from Tsunami broadcast this season?
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much, but what I will say, though, is that I'm super excited that I'll be able to travel with the team on the road. And that's something I didn't really do when I was with the Wolfpack. But here it's going to be something I'm going to be able to do. So I'll do all their home games. I'll do all their road games as well. And yeah, I'm super fired up about it because for me, that's one of the things that I made sure was agreed on before I signed my contract with them. I said, you know what, I want to feel like a true junior broadcaster. I want to be able to travel with my team. And they saw value in it right away. And I'm very thankful that they're going to let me do that. So I'm looking forward to those road trips. And sure, it's not the same as driving to, Saskatchewan or Alberta, but it's going to be a pretty cool experience. And it's going to be something I've never experienced before either. So we're going to have some nights in hotels. We're going to have our team bus. So it's going to be like a mini experience, if you will, that I'm really looking forward to.
Well, I'm sure I will see plenty of you either at the Ladner Leisure Center or at many arenas, and I am very much looking forward to that, Giancarlo. But if we backtrack a little bit, you've been living on the mainland for most of your life, if not the entirety of your life, if I'm not mistaken. Now making that move to the Sunshine Coast, just was there any sort of challenges in having to move over?
I wouldn't say there's been challenges. It's definitely a different kind of environment, different kind of lifestyle for sure. Sunshine Coast very laid back here in North Vancouver. Everything's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. But other than that, no, it's been great. I mean, I also look at it like a vacation myself. So I'll spend days here, I'll spend days there, wherever it is. I feel like I'm at home. And that's the nice thing about the Sunshine Coast. The people there are awesome. They make you feel like you're at home. And of course, now with the tsunami coming in, there's going to be so much more excitement there. So the transition's been pretty easy for me. And what a beautiful place to have a hockey team and to live. So I'm super, super pumped for it.
The Coastal Tsunami are certainly a franchise to watch out for the season in the PJHL. I really do think they are going to make strides both off of the ice and on the ice as well. I'm very much looking forward to it. But if we sidetrack a little bit now, Giancarlo, you have also been a fan of the Montreal Alouettes for a very long time. And last season, you got the opportunity to work with the team. So, first off, just tell me how your fandom of the Alouettes began.
Yeah, fandom of the Alouettes, fandom of the Habs, fandom of basically anything to do with Montreal came from my dad. Born and raised over there, moved out here when he was, I believe, 25 or something like that. And my mom doesn't watch sports. So for my brother and I, we grew up watching the Canadians. We grew up watching the Alouettes. And those have always been our favorite teams. They will always be our favorite teams. And for me, if I put my mind to something, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to make it happen. And that's sort of what's been able to happen there with the Alouettes. And I wanted to spend the summer out in Montreal, and I had looked at doing some courses to study some French, brush up on my language, and there wasn't much available. So then I said, okay, I still want to go here. I still want to spend 2 months here. What else can I do? And I started thinking, the Alouettes, they play in the summertime. I'm kind of not too far away from, what they do over there in terms of their media stuff. So I reached out to Joey Alfieri, who's in charge of their content, their marketing, and all that stuff. Great guy. He's Italian too, which is awesome. And I sent him an email. Next day, I heard back from him. He's like, "Hey, man, when are you in town? Like, let's meet up. Let's have a talk." So we were able to connect that way. And then the next thing I know, I'm flying off to Montreal, and I'm in the office the very next day, and I'm grinding away on the computer, doing some stuff. They put me to work right away, able to connect with the players and the staff. And, I truly lived the fans' biggest dream. Being able to talk to the guys, being able to be on the field on game days, filming content from the sidelines. That's when you truly get a different perspective on the CFL and the athletes that they have. They're running 100 miles an hour on the field, but as soon as they cross that line to get out of bounds, they just stop running. It's crazy how good they are. And my guys, Tyson Philpott and Wesley Sutton, two of the guys on the Alouettes. Tyson with the Grey Cup catch last year. We're still in contact. He's a BC kid. So me and him basically talk every day. We're texting or calling each other. Like, it's super cool to be over there. And none of it happens again without Joey Alfieri. So what an exciting time. And then, of course, the Grey Cup in November. Nobody thought we were going to be there. We all believed we would. I'm there. I get to watch them win the Grey Cup. I'm invited to their after party after the game, partying with the guys till 5 a.m, hoisting the Grey Cup, and then I get a ring out of it as well. So it's a pretty exciting feeling. And for my dad, especially because that's his favorite team, and he put that love for that team inside of me, he was kind of able to live out his biggest dream as well. And so he came up there for a couple of games. He got to meet all the players and all the staff. And it was really exciting to see how he felt about all this stuff, because that's his son that's connected with the team now. So he's super excited about it. And then this year, I even went to check out a few games before the tsunami got going, and the players loved it. I was there with my uncle, and I tell you, man, honestly, I could not leave the field without players running up to me and talking to me. Hey, how's it going? How's this going? Like, so on and so forth. It was awesome, and super, super excited I had the opportunity to do that. And I hope they can win the Grey Cup again this year. They're playing in BC, so that would be pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, when you sort of put it into that perspective as well, obviously you'd have your commitments with the Coastal Tsunami going on, and obviously that does take priority. But wouldn't it be special for you to see if the Montreal Alouettes do make it to the Grey Cup? It's right here in BC. You wouldn't even have to travel much.
I wouldn't have to travel much. No, no, it's going to be pretty cool if they can do it. That's what they're working on right now. So I hope they can get her done.
So, Giancarlo, we've seen, the BC Lions. They hosted 50 Cent this year as part of their home opener. And, we've seen that CFL football, it's continued to grow in past years and years to come. It will continue to grow. NFL football has sort of been the mainstay. I mean, people in Canada are out here celebrating Super Bowl weekend. But I mean, you and I, we've got to see firsthand, whether it's, in Montreal with them winning the Grey Cup, how much it meant to the Montreal community, or even the BC Lions, everyone coming together for 50 Cent. They came there for the artist, but they left with a newfound love for CFL football. It really is, a great time to be a CFL fan in Canada.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've always loved that game. I love that it's truly all Canadian as well, all Canadian teams and the rules that they have. You can't find anywhere else. You look at the number of Canadian players in this league, and that's what truly excites me. It's hometown talent getting the opportunity to play in front of their hometown crowds. That's what makes it really cool. And then, the Grey Cup's nothing like anybody's ever seen. It's truly the most Canadian thing in all of sports. You got the RCMP carrying the trophy out onto the field. You're often playing the game in snow. And, that's what Canadians are known for, living out in snow castles and igloos and stuff like that. And that's what we get to play this big game in. And then you've got two Canadian teams battling out head to head. But I think the Grey Cup and the CFL unites everybody. You go to a Grey Cup game like I was last year, there's fans from every single team at the games cheering for whoever, because at the end of the day, all they care about is the CFL. These guys put the CFL ahead of their own team. And I've heard this from players too. Any fan of the CFL is a fan of a team. Any fan of a team is a fan of the CFL. You don't like a team without liking the league. And we kind of have that small town vibe to us, that small, community vibe. And that's okay because that's what we are. That's what we're made of. And I love the fact that it is truly all Canadian and it's going to continue to rise because there's great ownership now in Montreal and now in BC. So it's super exciting stuff to see the game being taken to all new levels.
As we, look back at the past few years of your career, Giancarlo, professionally, you've had quite the journey jumping from the Wolfpack to the Tsunami and the Alouettes in between that as well. But one thing that I didn't really touch on is that you were also a member of the BCIT Radio Arts and Entertainment program for the past 2 years. And, you and I both spent the last couple of years at BCIT. I was a part of the broadcasting program. You were part of the radio arts program. Just where did the decision to begin that program come from? Like, was there any sort of inspiration that inspired you to go down that the path of, starting up school at PCIT?
Well, funny enough, all the broadcasters North Vancouver has had have all gone through BCIT. And starting right from day one all the way till Jordan Dobrew now taking the ropes from me, another BCIT guy. So we've all kind of gone through that program, and it's a great program. You learn a lot. Nice for me to stay close to home and be able to work with the Wolfpack at the same time. That's really what it was for me that kind of made me decide on going to BCIT. I heard a lot of great things about the program, but I was able to go to school, but also work with the Wolfpack, and that's not something I wanted to give up, especially because that's the industry that I want to stay in. So for me, the fact that I was able to do both is truly what motivated me to continue to go to school and make that decision.
Finally, Giancarlo, as you look back on your career up until this point and as you look towards the future, what are some lessons that you've learned about yourself over the past few years that really stick out to you now?
Yeah, I think it's one that sticks out kind of more than others. Hard work pays off. You want to be somewhere, you want to do something, go out there, work hard. People are going to notice it. And nowadays, especially in the industry that we are in, if you're good at something, people are going to find you, people are going to notice you. And you're all over social media. And so if you're doing something right, somebody's going to notice it. And I think that's really, really big for me. But I also think too, if you have a dream, if you want to do something, go out there and chase it. I don't have a great cup ring if I don't go out there and I don't approach the Alouettes. So if you want to do something, go out there and do it. There's a lot of people that are kind of shy, kind of stay away from doing stuff like that. But if you truly want to do something, just go out there and do it. Nothing's going to stop you.
Giancarlo, I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy days to, sit down and chat with me. I really enjoyed our chat, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you when you visit either the Ladner Leisure Center, Minru Arenas, or we just hang out outside of hockey time, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
I appreciate it, man. You're doing some great stuff on here. Keep doing what you do. Thanks so much for having me on. And I got the Tsunami bucket on for you. Go Tsunami, go. So looking forward to the season.
That's Giancarlo Nadeau, the new voice of the PJHL's Coastal Tsunami, the franchise set to play their first ever game September 6th at Abbotsford's MSA Arena. If you like this episode, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.